Thank you for the whatever, whoever did. I heard the notification. Somebody followed or hosted or something. I don't know how to go back and find that. But whoever did what, thank you. Pink gun? I like pink. Pink's my favorite color, as you can tell from that guy. This could be a hell of a popcast. Unless it's not, but I guess we'll find out. There we go. I caught this one. Thank you for the host, Stan TTV _. Imagine having a favorite color. Every color can be good in its own context. That is not true. That is a false statement. Purple always sucks. Good afternoon, Smash. It's not even afternoon for me. Thank you for the follow, A Lonely Koala. I'm sorry to hear that you're lonely. If you stop being lonely, do you have another account where you're just like mildly content koala? Thank you for the host, that Smash, host of the Moray Taverns podcast. What's wrong with purple? It sucks. That's what's wrong with it. It sucks and you know it. But I don't shame people for liking colors that suck. Thank you for the host, Sky the Demon. Hello, Hoenn Hero. Thank you for the follow. Oh, Vincent. Thanks for the follow, Vincent. Welcome into the Popcast. You'd be down to commit some crimes after this? That's probably the dumbest chant we've ever... I mean, we've had some really ridiculous chants for some teams on some low inks. But commit a crime for Twisted Time might be... If we do, at the end of the year, when we do the Popcast Awards or whatever, and we'll do the top 3 worst team chants for a low ink, I think commit a crime for Twisted Time might be the worst chant that we've had. Number 1, well, the Red Sun one started out as post this gun for Red Sun, which was even worse. But then morphed into number 1 for Red Sun, or Red Sun is number 1 or something, which is fine. That gets the job done. I think the best one we've had was post this sauce for SOS or something like that, Splatter Swim, which I didn't understand. I was like, what does Splatter Swim have to do with sauce? And then I was like, oh, if you say the word if you read the word SOS, it sounds like sauce, so that makes sense. But no, commit a crime for Twisted Time. I can't believe somebody came up with that and that actually stuck, but I think we can come up with something better for that. Look, Destiny Troops, it's salute the troops. Simple. You don't have to have it doesn't have to rhyme. It just has to make sense. Luau's chant is, we're recruiting a 15th member. That's... Spanning the sauce. Yeah, the Crustacean Crusaders crab. That gets the job done. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but I am happy that the Crusaders are back and are an actual thing. Not that there was anything wrong with Yoshi's Fruit Adventure or Wiggler Hoy or anything, but it just doesn't have the same punch. It's Crustacean Crusaders. Luau Jr. still open for me. I can't play for Luau Jr. Sorry. Red Sun on the rise. That makes sense. That works. Splatver, we came up, or Clang came up with that one. You can't take credit for that. You like the crime one? Well, that's fine, I guess. I don't keep up with the trends of the next generation. If you guys are all for crime, I mean, who am I to say otherwise, I guess. Like crime because it rhymes? You know, there's like a gazillion other... Look, I'm going to come up with another one. We're going to rhyme.com, and we're coming up with a better one right now. Rhyme Zone or whatever. What are some words that rhyme with time? Climb. Twisted Time is on the climb. There. Infinitely better. slime prime. Twisted Time is in their prime. They will not stime Twisted Time. For this team, I'd spend more than a dime. What's a brime? Is that like the thing that's like an orange or something? What's a brime? No, not like brime live. Like, what's the definition of that? Is brime a word in Scrabble? No, brime is not a Scrabble in the Scrabble day. Okay, so maybe. Why is that in this thing, man? Okay, mime. Grime. The other team's grime. Go Twisted Time. How about that? Punch a mime for Twisted Crime. That is. Okay, now that I'm reading these things out loud, maybe I'm thinking, all right, maybe commit a crime for Twisted Time isn't the worst. Maybe it can't get worse. I lost a lot on Deep Blues. Hey, I can get that back though. I can get that back. I think I'm sitting at like 800 right now because I kept predicting all of the low ink stuff wrong. California, San Diego screwed me over. Never bet on a college team. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, while you're firing your psychedelic air launchers, dunking your dino nuggies in honey mustard, lining your teammates up for a drip pick before pulling the Ethernet plug in a grand finals, whatever it is that you're doing right now. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Quick news before we get into the Dynasty Dragon Wave elephant in the room. Minnow Cup is going to be this Friday, which just so happens to be Good Friday. It was supposed to be on this upcoming Saturday, but that is going to be Speed Ladder. So I think the time is, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong in chat, but I believe it's still like the usual 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern time, whatever it was going to be. I think the assumption or the hope is that some people are off for Good Friday and are available to play in it. It's not ideal that this tournament can be on Friday, but it is what it is. Tower Control, I believe, is the mode of the month. A good mode, a fun mode to play in. So be on the lookout for that. The Launch Point Draft Cup is this upcoming Sunday. They usually close registration for that thing like a week beforehand. So I don't, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can register for this anymore. I believe registration is closed. I will be recapping both of those tournaments on next week's episode of the Popcast, Minnow Cup and the Launch Point Draft Cup. When's the next Ash Cup? We were supposed to have one this month if you were to use the, if you were to go by the bi-monthly thing, and we didn't. So are we going to have Ash Cup next month? That was a fun tournament. Always exciting to see. Always a good, it's like a smaller low ink basically, which is good. It's a different format. So be on the lookout for that, I guess. I don't know if we're going to have another Ash Cup or not, but if that does happen, make sure to come in and sign up for it. It's always fun. People in chat are saying Launch Point signups close at March 31st, so that is Wednesday at 5 p.m. UTC. Who knows what 5 p.m. UTC is in Eastern time anymore? A good chunk of people that sign up for Low Ink don't know. So who am I to say what it is? Today we're recapping Low Ink. We're going to be talking about not just Grand Finals, but everything. Swiss, Gamma, Beta, Alpha, the whole kit and caboodle. So if you were here and you did something exciting on Saturday that got overshadowed by something else, don't worry. I think I caught it, and we're going to talk about it. But first, let me just share my point of view of what happened. The incident. So it's the Dragons, Dynasty Dragon Wave, who I'll just refer to as the Dragons, take it on Twisted Time in Grand Finals. Mako Mart TC. One of them, a player for Twisted Time DCs in the first game, so we'd redo it. And then in the second game, the camera just zooms to the Dragon players, and they played the game, like they played that second game for like a minute for real, and then they lose the checkpoint, and then they just line up in front of their spawn, like they're taking it like a group photo in front of a volcano or something like that. And then I was so confused. I didn't understand why they were lining up. My thought is that somebody had DC'd on their side and that they were stopping. But I was like, I'm looking at all four of these players. So then my next thought was, okay, you know how like sometimes somebody, like your teammates will be like, oh, one of them DC'd. And then you're like, no, nobody DC'd. I'm looking at all four, like all 8 players are still in the lobby. I thought that's what happened. Somebody DC'd on like their screen, and like from our spectator view, we just didn't see it yet, and that they were just stopping. And then all of a sudden, it was weird because Eevee was like right there ledge camping. Like you see him bash one of them twice with his carbon roller, and just nothing happened. And then it's just like, what? And then all 4 of them just vanish. It was just like they were never there to begin with, just an after image. And at this point, I'm completely confused. I have no idea what's going on. And I think I said something like, is it? I thought the lobby was broken. I genuinely thought the lobby was broken because there was no way. There's like, what else could it possibly be? Magic hit it on the head. Magic was right. Very beginning, he said, that it was an intentional disconnect. And again, I didn't believe that, because why would you intentionally disconnect? There's no reason. Why would you just throw the game like that? So in my ear, our producer, Ink Ferrer, who you guys can't hear, but he'll like occasionally drop things. He'll eventually say things to us. And you can't even look this up anymore. But he eventually said to us that they said they're dropping. And I was like, no, they're not. No, you can't just, like, we're in the middle of a Low Ink Grand Finals. There's 300 people watching this live right now. Get your candy butts back into this lobby, and we're finishing this set. This isn't something you can just drop from. Like, if you need me to write a letter to your mom to let you stay in this Grand Finals, I will. But you can't just drop from this. Are you kidding me? So we look in the Battlefy chat, and this doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, because Red Sun got replaced in Battlefy's Twisted Time. But I remember what they said, and this was the only information I had to go off of, or Magic and I had to only go off of in the booth, the commentator booth that we were in. It was basically, they said, we drop, you win, and I believe no time. That's it. And it's like, what? So they tell us to fill time because the TOs tell us to just keep talking because they were working on something, which is weird. You don't want to just like this is. I've never been in this situation as a commentator, and maybe never will again. But like, we can't just sit here on air with 300 people watching and just be like, I don't know what's going on. So we just gotta just talk our way through this until something gets figured out. And Magic says, you know who really is screwed over here? Red Sun. Which he was right, but when he said that, everyone in chat just started this massive mutiny of demanding Red Sun be brought back from the dead to be put into grand finals. And lo and behold, Lowing staff saw that, contacted Red Sun, contacted Twisted Time, and before you know it, we have a brand new grand finals with a team that has already lost twice in a double elimination bracket playing in it. And here we are. That scenario alone made this the most ridiculous tournament ever. Forget about the fact that this set went on to be a bracket reset in 6 games and then all the way to a final game 7 in the bracket reset, going to the team that lost twice already in this tournament, Red Sun. That combined, those two things combined, made this the best tournament you will ever see in your life. I said that way too many times on the stream, but it's true. Nothing you will see in Low Ink, nothing I will commentate again in my life will top what happened this past weekend, and it was awesome. It was amazing. When I do my Popcast episodes at the end of the year, and I do my year in review, and I give out my awards, is there any doubt what the match of the year is going to be? Is there any doubt? Is there anything that can top this? Do we need to wait till the end of the year? Do you guys just want me to do right here, right now, the annual Popcast Awards? Number 1, match of the year, goes to Red Sun versus Twisted Time, Low Ink, March 2021. Congratulations. What a performance you guys put on. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about the Dragons for a minute. First off, the fact that the Dragons were in grand finals to begin with made no sense at all, because this was a team last month that went 2-4. How does a team go from 2-4 to at one point being 9-0 in winners finals of Alpha? That makes no sense at all. Let me recap. Here's the Dragons per match last week or last month when they went 2-4. They beat the Ink Strike Inklings. That's a good quality win. They also beat some team called Scarlet Dream, I believe. Their 4 losses were to Radioactive, Mahi Mahi Monsoon, Anything But Among Us, which was a pickup team last month that played again this month but then dropped, that made Alpha Bracket, and Umbra. Again, if you remember the Bunnies, Umbra was basically the Bunnies. They would have made Alpha Bracket last month, but they dropped before Sunday. So those were this is a decent 2-4 result for any team. Their opponent win percentage that month was 58.3, which isn't a crazy high number, but it's for a team that goes 2-8, you don't typically see a 58.3 opponent win percentage. It was by far the highest of any other team that went 2-4 that month. So they had a really tough schedule and just couldn't win some of the games that were presented to them. So now that I'm looking at that, it kind of makes sense that they're better than the 2-4 record that they showed. But are they really 9-0 better? That is insane. And keep in mind that initially that makes you think, okay, something fishy's going on here, but there's not. The roster was 100% the same from last month to this month. So, any way you want to look at it, the Dragons just got significantly better over the course of a month. So much better than any team we've ever seen in Low Inc history. And they should be given some credit for that. I don't know why they dropped. I've seen some speculation. I haven't seen like an official statement released from them. I believe what's the general mindset is that it was 11 o'clock at night where they were, which some people were saying was Germany. I know they're an EU team. I don't know what specific country they're from. Most people in chat were saying Germany. And it was just basically the general thought is that it was just too late. Mom came in and said, "You need to go to bed, kid." And the kid was just like, "Well, Mom, I'm playing in Low Inc. 300 people watching me." And then Mom was like, "Well, 300 people are going to watch you working at McDonald's if you don't pass this test tomorrow." And then the kid was like, "But Mom, working at McDonald's is actually a good thing. You shouldn't be frowning upon people that work at fast food restaurants." These are the conversations I have in my head to get myself through the day. So I'm just, let's get back on track here. Regardless, until I see something else, I'm going to stick with that. It was just too late. And they couldn't keep playing. Why would you sign up for a tournament if you know you can't win it? Because it's going to last that long. It's not like the grand finals started at a ridiculous time. Of course, the whole tournament lasted much longer, but that's because of the bracket reset fiasco of Red Sun being brought back in. That extended things out. But normally, if this thing went as planned, it would have ended around the same time as they always do for Low Inc. Does it suck for Europe? Yes, but this is why it's a 2-day system, and we don't cram this all into one day. There's no way we can make that work. So, if you're the Dragons, people are asking if they're banned or not. My question is, why would they sign up again? Because we know they can't win it. Because it's going to be too late for them to win grand finals. If they can't make it past game 4 of grand finals before they got to go Betty by, then why even bother signing up to begin with? But I digress. For Twisted Time, look, I want you guys to realize something. Is it nice? Is it a good story that Twisted Time said yes to this? Yes, it's a great story. Twisted Time said yes to this. Could they say no to this, though? I don't think they could. Now, nobody forced them to do that, but in reality, they kind of did. Because what would happen if Twisted Time said no? First off, people in chat would riot. The chat was going crazy, absolutely spamming Red Sun, give us Red Sun. Also, it's kind of hilarious, a side note. If you look like in the middle of that, Sir Skit just says, "But wait, didn't the Dragons still get second place, right?" And then when it was announced that Red Sun was playing and everybody just goes crazy, like, "Yeah, Red Sun," you still see Sir Skit once again be like, "But wait, the Dragons still get second place, right? Like, that still happens?" Like, Sir Skit, who cares? That they dropped the tournament. They don't care. But regardless, people in chat would have gone crazy if Twisted Time had said no. And on the flip side, they themselves would not feel whole if they had said no. Because keep in mind, they were technically losing to the Dragons 1-2 before they dropped. So they would have had to gone through this tournament with the mindset of, we won it, but we were technically losing, and we won it because the other team was just too late for them. That's not a complete whole feeling. I saw Ost, who didn't play in grand finals, tweet, I believe on Friday, that she was going to watch about 10,000 hours of VODs, that she really wanted to win this tournament and get banned from low level. They really wanted to, they didn't want to play in Low Inc anymore. They wanted to earn it straight outright. And with the mindset of, we won this tournament because of a technicality, that doesn't give you that feeling that you've won it outright. So Twisted Time had to say yes to playing against Red Sun. I want you guys to realize that. It seems like a good story, but when you think about it, they had no choice but really to do that. And I don't know if that's a fair thing to say about it or not, but it is the case. For Red Sun, this is a fantastic story. They got a homie stock, the first ever homie stock given out in Splatoon, and they really took advantage of it. Their style of play worked the best for this kind of format. I kept talking several times, and I was talking with Evie last night. I was like, it looked like, especially the bracket reset, it looked like just 7 games of solo queue. Like, it just looked like, it didn't look like good competitive Splatoon, and nobody's blaming the players in that for that kind of mindset, because of course they're not going to play tight and coordinated and all this stuff. They're drained, they're physically drained, emotionally drained, mentally drained. It just comes down to autopilot at that point. And with Red Sun's natural playstyle works better for autopilot than what Twisted Times was when they had Tina in the lineup, because when they have Tina, then they're sending in people from flanks all the time. To deal with flanks, it's really easy to deal with flanks, but you have to be really mentally disciplined to, over the course of a 5-minute game, constantly be ready for it. Because if you fall asleep just once and then all of a sudden there's a brush behind you, the game could be over at that point. And when you're not as mentally sharp to take care of those flanks, eventually one of those times Tina comes behind you, and then that game's over. But then Tina had to leave due to a prior commitment, which left them with this tent combo, which worked out great for some modes and not so good for others, specifically tower control, where they keep going to Kunder. And then it was that evened up the thing, and then we just had ugly, beautiful Splatoon, if that makes sense, for that entire bracket reset. Yeah, so was it exciting Splatoon? Yes. Was it quality Splatoon? No, not at all. And again, this is why I was critical of the Midpoint Draft Cup tournament. Because when you have an 8-hour tournament, of course your grand finals is going to go all the way to a best of 7 bracket reset. Because neither team can truly separate themselves from the other when they're just playing on autopilot. That's not either team's fault. But it was still entertaining to watch nonetheless. The question is, who won this tournament? And Sir Skit really wants to know, do the Dragons get second place? Let's answer that. The official statement, as agreed upon by both teams, is that this was a tie. I can live with that. But in my heart of hearts, Twisted Time won this tournament. There's 2 ways you can look at this. Number 1 is from the rule standpoint. On paper, by the definition of the rules, Twisted Time won grand finals because their opponent that they played, the Dragons, did not. Also keep in mind, this was a double elimination tournament. Red Sun lost twice. And I know a lot of people were saying, and Magic brought this point up, Red Sun lost because of a DC in Game 4. Yes, but no, because there's no guarantee that if Admir doesn't DC in that Game 4 Rainmaker Shipyard game, that Red Sun still holds on to that lead anyways. Plus, there's no guarantee that Red Sun comes back in Game 5 and wins that straight up. To say that they only lost because of that DC is not telling the whole story. They lost because they got slapped around in game 1. They couldn't get coordinated in game 2, Clam Blitz at Anchovy. And when they finally got some momentum going in game 3 against Tower Control, they were already forced into having to do a reverse sweep situation. So to sit here and say that Red Sun deserved to be in grand finals, no, they didn't. Not by the letter of the rules. Now, I saw the same thing you guys did. Red Sun beat Twisted Time twice in grand finals. Keep this in mind, though. That is Twisted Time's first 2 losses. They only have 2 losses, and Red Sun has 2 losses. So they're the same exact situation here. I can't outright say Red Sun won this tournament, because that's not fair to Twisted Time, that Red Sun got an opportunity to lose a third time and Twisted Time didn't. The only way I would mentally acknowledge Red Sun as the true standalone champion is if they did a third bracket reset. And there's no way we're going to have them do a third. Like, what kind of game would that be? That would just be the worst thing you've ever seen in competitive Splatoon at that point. And plus, we'd be going till about 8 p.m. Eastern time. But the fact of the matter is, Red Sun was given an opportunity to lose a third time, and Twisted Time wasn't. So what we have here, yes, technically a tie, but in my mind, the tournament ended when the Dragons dropped. And what we saw was a glorified exhibition match, because by the letter of the rules, Twisted Time came away with this one. Now, if you want to say Red Sun won, I'm not going to argue against you. I think this is a healthy argument and a good argument to have for the case to be made for either team truly to have won. And I think the general consensus amongst most people is that, yeah, we're just going to see this as a tie because everybody lost twice in a double elimination tournament. But in my heart of hearts, and you guys, if you played against me, you know I slap you over the face with the rule book of whatever tournament we're playing in, because those rules are put in place to protect me from morons like you. To the letter of the rule, Twisted Time won this tournament. Plain and simple. And maybe if they want to get together and do a best of 9 rematch at some point, I'll change my mind. But everybody lost twice in this double elim. I don't know what to tell you. Regardless, this makes a great story. A low ink to remember forever. I can't imagine something like this ever happening again. And I don't know. I mean, just dropping from a grand finals alone was the most bonkers thing ever. But I guess anything's possible through the magic of low ink. My top 10. If we were to look at that, I said I would do apologies. Do I owe anybody an apology, really? Like, who even won this tournament that I missed over here? I had Twisted Time at number 10. And I said I put them at number 10 because they never made alpha bracket. They never made gold bracket in SAC. I said, though, that they were a really good double elimination bracket team. And they proved that here in alpha bracket. I just wasn't convinced that they were a deadlock to make alpha bracket because Saturday is brutal. Saturday is really brutal. But when they survived Saturday, then I was like, okay, they definitely have an opportunity to win this thing. Red Sun, I had them at number 2. Same kind of concern. I felt like they had more momentum going into this low ink than Twisted Time did. But again, my concern was they hadn't made alpha brackets since September of last year, even though they probably should have made it in January. But I felt like they were coming in with enough momentum that it made sense to put them at number 2. My top 10 as a whole, 5 teams made alpha bracket, 3 dropped, which it's impossible to predict who's going to drop and who isn't. I go by teams that sign up for the tournament. Even though they sign up doesn't mean they're actually going to play round one. One of them added a player Saturday morning, and they had like no information at all, like nothing that could be verified about that player. And it was like, we can't do this on Saturday, dude. This player's just not allowed to play for you. Like, come on, we can't do this. So they had to drop because of that. One made gamma, one made beta. So my top 10 about as mediocre as it always is. But both winners were mentioned at 1 point. So that's the bet. So there you go. I've correctly at least said 2 winners on my top 10 in the same month. That's I may never do that again, but who knows? My top the low ink as a whole. Before we start recapping, players and matches and things like that. 115 teams signed up this month. It's good. That's a healthy number. Again, do you want to have like 150 teams sign up for low ink? Yeah, that'd be cool. Does it make for a good tournament? No, I don't think so. I think 115. I think the 105, the 115, 120 kind of range is a healthy number to have. I think that makes for the best tournaments. So it's good to see that kind of number. Help desk was ridiculously smooth this week or this weekend, which should have forbade the crap show that was going to be Sunday. But Saturday it was so chill. I think only like a couple after like round 1, there was only like a couple of things here and there. Hey, I reported a score wrong. Hey, I need to find a sub. My opponent's not responding. Just the typical stuff. And there was only like a couple of those each round. Like I was just sitting here in help desk, just like, okay, this is easy. So that was the smoothest Saturday we've ever had. If only I knew, what Sunday was going to be like. There is one oddity in this low ink. That the odds of this thing happening again are so incredibly slim that I want to point it out here. Group A had a very weird tie for 24th and 25th place. Keep in mind, if you're either the 24th place team, you make gamma bracket. If you're 25th, you don't make Sunday at all. First tiebreaker Battlefy uses is your opponent win percentage. The second is personal win percentage. And if you're wondering why opponent win percentage is valued more than personal, let me ask you a question. You beat Red Sun 2-1 on Saturday. You also beat a team that ended up going 1-5, and they're just like some NA Open team playing in their first low ink. But you beat them 3-0. Which win should give you more value? The 2-1 win over Red Sun or the 3-0 win over the NA Open team? If you said the 2-1 win over Red Sun, congratulations, you value opponent win percentage over personal win percentage. Because the 2-1 win will give you more credit in the tiebreaker than sweeping a team that you had that really shouldn't be playing you to begin with. Now, sweeping that 3-0 team, that really helps your personal win percentage. So if you believe personal win percentage is more important, then you are saying beating that NA Open team 3-0 is better than beating Red Sun 2-1. I'm using Red Sun as an example, knowing full well nobody beat them on Saturday, so it doesn't really matter. But back in this scenario, teams in the 24th place, Innocence, and the team in the 25th place, Hydra, had the same opponent win percentage and the same personal win percentage. So what the hell do you do here? How does Battlefy break this tie? Well, apparently it comes down to what specific seed you get. Now, keep in mind, groups are determined by us. We give you a number 1 through 4 when you register. We try to separate the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s, and the 4s. The 1s are like the alpha teams, 2s, beta, 3, gamma, all that stuff. So the groups are semi-separated to be somewhat seeded, but the actual number that you get on Battlefy is just pure luck. Like the number 1 seed could be a team that's like never played in low ink before. I think when my team played in low ink, we were like the number 1 seed every single time, even though we weren't like truly the number 1 seed. I think it was just because we were the first team to sign up every single month. So technically, for whatever reason, Innocence had a better seed than Hydra, which was given out at pure random by Battlefy. So Innocence gets to Sunday, and Hydra did not. And this is one of the few times, I think only one team dropped on Sunday, and the team that got put in was the team from the other group. So this is such a... And Innocence actually won Gamma Bracket. So think about it like this. The team that won Gamma Bracket was only in it because Battlefy gave them a seed that was higher than Hydra. You can't make this up. Like the odds of this are so small of all of these things specifically happening that I had to point it out. Is there a way to fix this in the future? I don't know. Is this ever going to happen again in the future is the real question. The thing is, it doesn't matter because we can't, like, we're at the mercy of Battlefy for a lot of things. And Battlefy using the seeds as the tiebreaker makes sense because, I mean, what else are you going to do? They didn't play head to head. And I mean, they were perfectly tied in every other way you could think of. So it's like somebody has to move on, and somebody now this scenario might happen again. But what's going to happen? It's not going to be literally the 24th and the 25th team. Like the most critical, arguably one of the most critical 2 seeds to be right next to each other, to be this perfectly tied is like go buy a lottery ticket kind of thing. It might be, honestly, it might be one of the signs of the apocalypse or something. So if there's no, if we're all dead before the next episode of the Popcast, yeah, well, this might be the last thing you ever hear, and I might be the last thing you ever look at. Lucky you. Let's move on to Saturday. I was here. History will remember you well. Diolas. Swiss matches of note. And we're already 36 minutes into this, so we're gonna blaze through this. First off, Sleepy Seals 2-1 over the 60% Fish Puns. This was the best game on stream from Saturday. The Fish Puns won the Splat Zones hotel game. Sleepy Seals came back and won the Tower Control Anchovy game and barely held on to the lead at the end there. And then Rainmaker at Manta Maria, the Seals just got a huge lead early on and just were able to hold on to it. But it looked like the Fish Puns were able to get close to threatening to taking back the lead, but just wasn't. These two teams seem pretty dead even with each other. I believe the Fish Puns finished with the better record than the Seals at the end of the day, but still a good set to have on stream. You try to catch these sets that you will try to want to highlight some teams that you know don't get a ton of attention, but you know they're going to be playing in a matchup that's going to be good. I know sometimes we get like 3-0 sweeps on there, and that sucks that we do that, but whenever we get a close match between two teams that deserve some credit and attention, this is a good one to put on there. Spirit Incorporated 3-0 over the night surfing. Well, who is night surfing? It's literally Battle Chip. If you remember the Alpha Bracket team Battle Chip from last month, it's literally the same team. I verified these guys. It's the same roster. They had Gaysicle from ITAP as like a sub, but it's literally Battle Chip. I have no idea why they changed their team name to Night Surfing. I don't know what was wrong with Battle Chip. I thought Battle Chip was fine enough, but regardless, it's the same team. And Gamma Bracket, Spirit Incorporated is the Gamma Bracket winner from last month. So coming in and sweeping Night Surfing is a very impressive 3-0 win for Spirit Incorporated here. The Splatarians swept Thimbo IHOP 3-0. I don't know the history between these two teams, but I would assume they've had some similar matchups in the past. And I was surprised that the Splatarians were able to get this win 3-0 here. And they keep showing, the Splatarians keep kind of showing, the more we see of them, this kind of win against a quality opponent like Thimble IHOP shows these guys are the real deal. They made Alpha Bracket 2 months in a row now, and that's a really impressive win. Speaking of impressive wins, Broken Controller Gaming got a 2-1 win over Solution. This Saturday was an off day for Solution. I get that, and I hate pointing out bad losses by a team, but this is more so to give credit to Broken Controller Gaming because this is a really good quality win for them here over a strong team like Solution. CIA beat team name guys please TNGP 2-1. The former LSL champion versus the team who is going to win LSL. Not this weekend, but the next weekend. It's good to see these two teams match up, and it's good to see the former champion beat the upcoming one in TNGP. Casually Dynamic Squids, CDS, 2-1 over Mahi Mahi Monsoon. If you remember, speaking of LSL, Mahi Mahi Monsoon is the current champion from that. And they almost made Alpha Bracket. In fact, this match decided who made Alpha and who made Beta. CDS was able to get the win 2-1. It came down to a Clan Blitz Hotel game where CDS scored once. They threw in one power clam to make the score 80 to 100 remaining, and that's the only score in the entire game. And that decided who made Alpha and who made Beta. Pretty impressive set. It's on stream. A good loss for Mahi Mahi Monsoon, honestly, and for CDS, which is, I believe, I don't know if this is a pickup or a project, but they seem like a pretty solid team in their own right. Otakos 2-1 over Vaporwave. I don't get to talk about Otakos too much, but they are an old team that have been playing it in a lot of these low inks, and getting a win here against Vaporwave, a team that finished in second place in the last LSL. It looked like the true solid second place team because they seem to steamroll their way to grand finals in that tournament. Seems like a quality team here, so Otakos, I credit them for getting a quality win against Vaporwave here. Don't get much opportunity to talk about Otakos, so when I do, I want to point it out. Lastly, Spirit Incorporated again, this time with a 2-1 win over Twisted Time. This was the only team to beat Twisted Time, technically. And this happened on Saturday. Again, Spirit Incorporated, the Gamma Bracket team, coming in here and just beating up on a lot of Alpha Bracket teams out of nowhere. We'll be talking about them. I was talking to Evie, and Evie kind of mentioned this was the bad map round for them. Maybe Hotel was in the lineup for something like this, such as we see, Twisted Time really struggles on Hotel. So if that was the case, then it would make sense. But still, credit where credit is due. Spirit Incorporated had a heck of a weekend here. My winners from Swiss. Give me the Ink Strike Inklings. These guys went 5-1 with key wins over the Krusty Crew, Evening Chickens, Mission Instinct. The Ink Strike Inklings finished in second place in their group, and this is the hottest team in low level right now. These guys are consistent and they're good, and I think I've given them a winner role for what they've accomplished in about 4 or 5 straight tournaments now. These guys are flaming hot. I think they might be a top 10 team next month. Untitled Duck Crew. This was their first tourney ever, and they went 3-3 in it, making Gamma Bracket with key wins against the Jelly Squids and Solution. A very nice win there. A lot of times we get brand new teams and they do really bad in low ink. Understandably so. Some of those teams should probably be playing in Little Squid League first and then work their way through low ink. But Untitled Duck Crew, new team, getting some really impressive wins here in their first tournament. The Wiggly Phantoms, the Fighting Sir Skits, bounced back from a 2-4 result last month to go 4-2 here. They tweeted that they felt good about this month, and I can't blame them for that. I knew last month was just a fluke. You got to give some teams some mulligans every now and then when they just have some people just have a bad Saturday. It happens, especially in low ink. Low ink Saturdays are a lot more difficult than people think that it is. And they bounce back here, going 4-2, wiggling their way to beta brackets, which is where they should be. The Geek Squids went 5-1 with their only loss coming to Aqua Affinity. I called out the Geek Squids. I said, stop losing to teams you have no business losing to. You are a monster. Start acting like it. And good golly, Miss Molly, did they act like it on Saturday. They 3-0'd every opponent they played against. Finally, except for Thimbo IHOP, who they beat 2-1. But everybody else, 3-0. We shouldn't be seeing teams beat the Geek Squids. It shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't see teams taking one game off of Geek Squids. I want to see them. They're the most wholesome team, and they always post like really awesome content after every single low ink. But I want to see a more angry Geek Squids. I want them to beat nobodies 3-0. I want them to tell them in the Battlefied chat that they suck and get out of the tournament. I want to see a mad Geek Squid team, and I feel like they played like that this month. Much better. iRide, which is not actually pronounced iRide, even though it looks like iRide. I believe it's E-Read. 2-4 last month, went 3-3 this month with key wins against Ink Eye and T-Name Guys. Please. They made Gamma Brackets. I believe the first time they've made Gamma Brackets, so good for them. Spirit Incorporated, an impressive 5-1 result here. Key wins coming against Night Surfing and Twisted Time. Only loss 1-2 to Aqua Affinity. I keep mentioning teams that are doing really good and their only loss is the Aqua Affinity. That just shows you how good Aqua Affinity really is in this tournament as well. But once again, the team that won Gamma Brackets came around next month and went 5-1 and found their way into Alpha Bracket. A heck of a month here for Spirit Incorporated, a team we're going to have to all pay attention to in the future. Enigma finally starting to turn the corner as well. Went 4-2 this month with key wins against the Wiggly Phantoms, Hydra, and Barracuda Blitz. They made Gamma last month, and now they've found their way into beta brackets. Enigma on the rise, as we would expect them to do. They got a solid roster. It's just been taking them a while to get the synergy they need to be a consistent 4-2 team. It looks like they're getting to that point. The Twilight Anglers had a heck of a tournament. They went 4-2 with key wins against Night Surfing and Outcast Ninjas. Last month they went 3-3 without qualifying for Sunday. This time around they went 4-2 and made beta brackets, skipping Gamma altogether. I see you, Twilight Anglers. Attaboys. Dark Rain went 4-2. and finished ninth. Finished ninth in Group A with key wins against Untitled Duck Crew, the Twilight Anglers, and Mysoidois. There's no way I pronounced that correctly, but another team that went 4-2 basically. Dark Rain was a Gamma Bracket team last month, going 3-3. Now make the next step up almost to Alpha Bracket. Instead, had to settle for being either the 1 or number 2 seed in Beta Bracket as the 9th team in Group A. The teams with the highest opponent win percentage in this tournament is split with 72.2%. That is a tough Saturday. And that goes to Aqua Affinity and University of California, San Diego Esports. Both teams going 5-1 and finding their way into Alpha Bracket. So there you go. Those two teams fed a very difficult schedule and still found a way to get 5 wins off of it. Both of those two teams seem to be pretty good. Aqua Affinity might just be a contender. Well, no, Aqua Affinity is going to be a contender to win this next month, hands down. The Inkvaders went 4-2 after going 2-4 last month. Key wins against the Pizza Inkers, Booyah X, and Riptide. Inkvaders, I've always talked about, they are a olderish team. They have made Alpha Bracket many years ago, or I guess last year, around this time last year. So good to see them get back into their 4-2 form, and possibly we might see them in Alpha Bracket in the future, which is where they would love to be and deserve to be. Mahi Mahi Monsoon. And I always say their name too ridiculously, but I don't want to mess it up. They went 4-2 with key wins over Otakos and Krillstreak. This is the best result we've had from a current LSL champion. Usually when a team wins LSL, the goal is for them maybe to make Gamma Bracket. Again, they were like 20 points away in Clamblitz game from making Alpha Bracket. Instead, they had to settle for going 4-2 and making Beta. But still, a very impressive result for Mahi Mahi Monsoon, who made Gamma Bracket last month. The Morpho Knights went 3-3 this month after going 1-5 last month. A lot of 3-0 wins and a couple of close 1-2 losses to some quality teams here, like Resilience and the Inkstrike Inklings. Now, I was curious about Morpho Knights because I saw Kimcat, formerly of Boreal Phoenix, who mentioned in my chat last week an unfortunate event on Tower Control Hotel literally a year ago this month that I remember, and I'm not going to repeat it here because I'm sure they are traumatized by it. But it's good to see Kimcat come back into competitive. And I feel like that was part of the reason why the Morpho Knights went from a 1-5 team to a 3-3 Gamma Bracket contender that they appear to be right now. So Morpho Knights, we'll probably see more of these guys in the future. And it looks like they're starting to turn the corner here with this new revamped roster they got. My biggest winner from Saturday. Mission Instinct went 1-5 last month. And I didn't mention them at all because I try not to mention teams that go 1-5. That they don't want to be mentioned on the podcast. But they went 2-4 here and got some really, really nice wins. A key win against Vaporwave and Evening Chickens, with finishing in Beta Bracket. This is the second biggest bounce we had in this entire tournament. Obviously, if the Dynasty Dragon Wave team didn't exist, Mission Instinct would have had the biggest what in the world happened here kind of moment. But a nice tournament for Mission Instinct. So there you go. Teams that go 1-5, 2-4 this month. I listed out so many teams that finished around that last month that are making Beta and Alpha Bracket in just 1 month later. It can happen to you guys. Get on that grind. You could be the next team that makes Beta and Alpha and possibly if enough teams drop during the tournament, get put into grand finals of Alpha Bracket. Who knows? Anything's possible. Moving on to what happened on Sunday. We're going to cover Gamma, Beta, and Alpha, and move on from there. We're making great time today. Unless we're not. 53 minutes. Okay. Gamma brackets. Matches of note. I got two of them here. First off, Innocence versus Wild Cards. This went 3-2. This is significant because Innocence won Gamma bracket, and this was a round one matchup. It seems to be a trend now. It used to be a trend of the number 1 seed losing to the number 16 seed. The number 1 seeds are starting to get their act together and realizing, oh, we shouldn't be losing this game. And they're starting to win that now. But now the trend is to win a Gamma or Beta bracket, you need to really struggle in round 1. And Innocence did that against a team I have no idea who they are, Wild Cards. Beat them 3-2. So that's a good, again, this kind of shows how competitive these brackets are, that you can win the bracket, but also almost lose to a team that loses in losers round 1 at the same time. That just shows how tight and competitive these Gamma and Betas are. Also, Nightshade 3-2 over the Untitled Duck Crew. I believe this is the first time these two teams have made Gamma bracket. Of course, for the Duck Crew, we know this is their first time because this is their first tournament. But Nightshade, I've known they've been in some of these lowings before, but I didn't look too much into it. But I would assume this is their first Gamma bracket, and playing their first Gamma bracket match ever. It goes to a game 5, and they find a way to get a win there. So I wanted to point that out. The winners that I have from this bracket go to Squid Society. I said Squid Society just had a bad month last month because they seem to be doing pretty good in other tournaments. They found their way into Gamma bracket here and took 3rd place. They got a 3-1 win over Shiver Me Inklings, swept Otakos, 3-1 over the Broken Controller Gaming, and then lost to the 1st and 2nd place team, Innocence and Solution, 3-1. But still, Squid Society, this is a good tournament for them. I see them as more of a beta-ish bracket team, but what happens on Saturday happens on Saturday. Nightshade, my voice is gone, had a pretty good Sunday here. I talked about how they beat the Untitled Duck Crew 3-2 before losing to Innocence 3-0, but then went on a little bit of a tear in losers bracket, sweeping the Shiver Me Inklings, beating Ink or Swim 2-1 before losing to Broken Controller Gaming and they swept Broken Controller Gaming as well. Finished in 4th place here in Gamma bracket, losing to Solution 2-0. So Nightshade, very nice result here. Untitled Duck Crew gets a winner's roll as well, because after they lost in round 1, they went on a tear in losers bracket, and you guys know I love it when teams pop off in losers bracket. Swept Wild Cards 2-0, 2-1 over Otakos, 2-0 over Pizza Inkers before losing yet again, like everyone else did, to Solution 2-0, tied for 5th place with Broken Controller Gaming. Very nice. Once again, first tournament for the Ducks. They showed up and showed out. What's going to happen next month? Who knows? Grand finals of Gamma bracket was Innocence versus Solution. Innocence coming in as the winner's side of the bracket. Solution coming in from the losers. And who put Solution out of this tournament? It was Innocence back in semifinals. So a rematch. And Innocence got the win here for 2. A repeat of what happened in semifinals where they beat Solution 3-1. What does this mean for both teams going forward? For Solution, look, they had a bad Saturday. There's just no way of putting it. It happens. It's a mulligan. It doesn't mean Solution's a bad team. It doesn't mean they're not going to be a top 10 team next month's Low Inc. It doesn't mean, they're still a contender to win Low Inc. Just had a bad Saturday. It happens. I believe they went 4-2 and still made. I mean, they're the number 1 seed here in Gamma. You can go 4-2 and literally finish in Alpha or Gamma. It just depends on what kind of schedule you get fed in Swiss. So finishing the second place here, it's nice. It's nice to have another medal just to put in the trophy case. I'm sure it's not one that. It's not the big fish that they wanted, but still a productive weekend for Solution nonetheless. For Innocence, though, this is a really good result for them. This is a good quality win against a quality opponent who they beat twice. They did not lose at all during this entire bracket. Again, they beat Wildcards, Nightshade, Solution, Squid Society, and Solution yet again. And this is a team that went 3-3 last month and didn't qualify for Sunday at all. And again, the only reason they qualified for this Sunday is because of that bizarre tiebreaker thing that I talked about. They took advantage of it. So many teams got a homie stock this tournament that took it and ran with it. Innocence deserves to be in that category as well. So a very good Sunday for Innocence. I'm sure they're thrilled with how they did, and they should be. Morpho Knights was thrown into the Solution meat grinder. Yeah, I see you guys played them in round 2 after beating Irad. Yeah, Solution's a really good team. They're not a Gamma bracket style team, that's for sure. But just because you're not a Gamma team doesn't mean you can't end up in there. And also credit to Solution for playing in it. Sometimes when a team of their caliber gets put in Gamma or Beta, they just say, nah, no thanks. Battlefly's updated time zones. That's awesome. As if I need something else to be confused about. Beta brackets. Moving right along. A lot of matches of note here. First off, the Dream Knights took on Neptune's Envoy. And the Dream Knights won this one 3-2. If you remember, the Dream Knights are the team that disbanded. And then Ludi got announced and they said, okay, we're undisbanding. And they come back. And they showed up and showed out here in the beta bracket, beating Neptune's Envoy 3-2. Neptune's Envoy made beta last month as well. In fact, both these teams were in beta last month. They just didn't play against each other, and they seem pretty close right up against each other right here. Very nice. The Evening Chickens beat the Kraken Warriors 3-2. This is not the bracket that both teams wanted to be in. Obviously, Evening Chickens are a contender to win the next Low Inc., in my humble opinion. And the Kraken Warriors are a really strong team. They've made Alpha bracket in the past. I'm sure they're happy to make Beta, but I'm sure they want to get back to Alpha bracket. They've had some pretty good minnow cups as well, but still a nice 3-2 result for these two teams. Seems like a close match. The Chickens experience just being the difference there. Twilight Anglers got a 3-0 win over Mission Instinct. And again, Mission Instinct was my biggest winner from Saturday. And they have suddenly overnight become a team that if you beat them 3-0, it's pretty impressive. Especially when you're a team like Twilight Anglers that hasn't made a beta bracket in a while, if at all, in the past. So a nice 3-0 win for them. Very impressive. My winners, and I have 4 winners from beta bracket this time around. First off, it goes to the Dream Knights. I talked about how they beat Neptune's Envoy 3-0. They went on to beat Bubble Splash 3-0. Swept Dark Rain as well. And then in winners finals, took on Night Surfing, aka Battle Chip, and took them to a game 5 before losing 3-2 to them. They took the 3rd place match and stayed with their bronze medal. With a 3-1 loss to the Evening Chickens. But still, Dream Knights,
This is why them disbanding made no sense. And the fact that they're back and look about as strong as they did before they quit is good. And I'm sure they're excited with this result. And possibly could be an alpha bracket contender next month as well. Neptune's Envoy, after losing to Dream Knights, went on a tear in losers bracket, sweeping Royal Court, 2-1 over Kraken Warriors, 2-0 over Mission Instinct, and before losing to Dark Rain, being tied with Bubble Splash, who got the 5th place here. So Neptune's Envoy, we talked about them in the last couple of tournaments. And I feel like I'm going to have to keep talking about them more in the future because they are doing some notable things here. Bubble Splash. This was the we cut off registration early. Bubble Splash was the last team to get in before registration closed. And they took advantage of that little opportunity to slip in here. They took care of Royal Court 3-2, lost to Dream Knights in losers and winners bracket 3-0, and then went on a tear in losers, beating Myopsidus 2-0, Twilight Anglers 2-0 before losing to the Evening Chickens, tying with Neptune's Envoy for 5th place. And lastly, the 4th team who I'm giving a winner's roll here to is Dark Rain. The number 1 seed, I talked about how they finished in 9th place in Group A, just barely missed Alpha Bracket. Took care of business here. Swept the Inkvaders, swept the Twilight Anglers, got swept by Dream Knights, and then swept Neptune's Envoy before losing to Evening Chickens in the 4th place match 2-1. So Dark Rain, I believe they were a Gamma Bracket team last month. Almost made Alpha here and show that they are definitely a contender for Alpha Bracket by running their way through Beta here on Sunday. Very impressive result there. Grand Finals was a 4-0 sweep of the Night Surfing Battle Chip team over the Evening Chickens. This is actually a rematch, not just from earlier in this on this day where Night Surfing beat Evening Chickens 3-1 in semifinals, but of the 3rd place match in Minnow Cup and Rainmaker, where Battle Chip swept the Evening Chickens 3-0. So this could just be a case of Night Surfing having the Evening Chickens number and knows just how to cook them up in the right way there. So just a bad matchup for the Chickens. The Night Surfing Battle Chip team has them figured out here. What does this mean for both teams going forward? For the Evening Chickens, they played good, but their time to win this tournament is coming. Just the bad RNG on Saturday. And again, usually when a low-rank contender goes to beta, and this happens before, like Xylo, before Xylo won it, they were in the same exact situation. They got stuck in beta bracket. They went all the way to grand finals before losing in grand finals of beta, and then turned around the next month and won not the next month, but the next time they signed up for low rank, they turned around and won the entire thing. So Evening Chickens, if there's something to take away from this, there's that. That has happened before. For Night Surfing, winning beta is something to be proud of, but I would assume their aim is higher than that. They just took some awkward upsets on Saturday that you would expect them not to take, and that's the reason why they ended up in beta. But it's the cool thing about beta is you can prove that you don't need to be in beta bracket, and sweeping the Chickens 4-0 in grand finals that's a statement win from beta bracket there for Night Surfing. Let's take a look at Alpha and then call it a day. It's time. What do you think's going to happen? Matches of note. First off, the Splatarians 3-2 over the University of California, San Diego Esports. This was on stream. the King Tritons, which I believe is the mascot of that university, had a really impressive showing. I believe that, I mean, we played against them in SAC, but that didn't seem like the same roster that we played when we played Triton or Sprite and Tritoon or whoever they were going by that time. But that CDS and Neo Splash combo Slayer they had seemed really good. Like, that seemed like a really good combo of players that they had right there. But the Splatarians, being the older team, the more experienced team, just had a little too much wherewithal to withstand and win that game 5 there. But it was a really good set, and I'm glad it was on stream there. Dragon Dynasty Wave, 3-2 win over Synergy. These are all in semifinals, by the way. Semifinals of Alpha was crazy in winners bracket. Or quarterfinals. Sorry, round 2. This was really the only team to put a scare into the Dragons before they got to winners finals. And Synergy proved, by being within one game of knocking out the Dragons, this kind of proves how good Synergy really is, or how good they are capable of being. Obviously, not getting the win in game 5 is the difference there between the Dragons making grand finals and Synergy being stuck in losers bracket. But still, Synergy is right there. They're right there, just not quite there yet to where they need to be to win this tournament. Twisted Time 3-2 over the Krusty Crew. The Krusty Crew was the Cinderella team from last month who made 4th place seemingly out of nowhere, came back into this month, made another Gamma bracket, or another Alpha bracket, and beat Aqua Affinity 3-1 in the first round. Twisted Time being the team that arguably, technically won, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the whole tournament. Put up a good fight here with Krusty Crew. So the Krusty Crew, once again, another strong tournament for them. They got put out by the Geek Squids 2-1 in round 2 of losers, but put up a fight against everybody that they played against, showing that they are the real deal. My winners from Alpha Brackets. Give me Thimbo IHOP, who, after losing to Red Sun 3-2, by the way, in the first round of the winners bracket, went on a tear in losers bracket, sweeping Riot, sweeping San Diego, beating Aqua Affinity 2-1 before losing once again to the rematch to Red Sun. Again, the team that only beat Thimble IHOP on Sunday was the possible champion of the tournament. I don't know. So a good result for Thimbo IHOP. It's good to see them back in Alpha Bracket consistently. Even more good to see them starting to take games away from people. They finished tied for 5th place here. The Splatarians, not to be outdone, who I mentioned beat Thimbo IHOP on Saturday, had a pretty good run here. They beat Resilience 3-1, barely beat the San Diego team, got swept by the Dragons like a lot of teams did. Before losing the rematch to Resilience, but still taking the 5th place trophy here as well. The experience of the Splatarians starting to pay off. These guys are turning the corner. They're being consistent, which is so hard to do. So credit where credit is due, Splatarians. Very nice result here. The team I'm giving the biggest winner roll out of all of this whole tournament, and who I am really excited about in the future, is Resilience. After losing round 1 to the Splatarians 3-1, ripped butt here in losers bracket, swept the Ink Strike Inklings, swept Spirit Incorporated, swept the Geek Squids, swept Splatarians, went into a match against Red Sun in the 4th place match on an 8-game winning streak, and lost to Red Sun. Looked like they were going to win that Clan Blitz game in game 1. And then Tower Control at the Reef was bringing in Tina, I believe, was just something Resilience couldn't deal with in game 2. But still, I said Resilience needed more time in the oven. They're going to get their time in the oven. I think they're going to be a freshly baked cookie or cake or brownie, I guess. I don't know. Whatever you bake in the oven. They're going to be a nice little casserole when the time comes next month. Am I saying they're the number one team? No, I don't know about that, but I think they're going to be a legit contender to win next month when they get more time with their new revamped roster that they got. Grand Finals. I guess the question is, which Grand Finals are you talking about? Which one do you want to talk about? I already basically talked about this scenario a good chunk in the beginning of this episode. So if you missed it, go back and watch the VOD on YouTube around the 15 to 20 minute mark. I did about a 30-minute rant about this Grand Finals. If you want me to say something else about it, though, that I haven't said, what does this mean for both teams going forward? Again, Red Sun technically on Battlefy beat Twisted Time 4-2 to force a bracket reset to win 4-3 in an epic Game 7 where I feel like if they don't try to land the splashdown and they keep using their Kinsa machine, they might find a way to recap that zone because Eevee's backdoor cut seemed like by that self should have been enough to cap zone, but yeah, just for whatever reason, Red Sun was able to hold on to that zone there and get the KO win. But what does this mean for both teams going forward? It's already been announced. Well, it hasn't been technically announced, but it's been hinted at that Red Sun isn't outright banned from the next SAC yet. Now, they could get good results in other tournaments that would prove that they're too good for the next SAC season. In Twisted Time, who finished technically in 10th place in SAC, isn't banned either. So if these two teams are still eligible, which I think their goal should be to be too good for the next SAC season, but if they are eligible, this would be the two favorites. And this would be the story of the next SAC season, these two teams in the matchup every time they get played, which would be like the Destiny Troops and Xanadu this season. Every time we played, it had to be freaking streamed. And we ended up being the grand finals matchup with those two. That might be the next SAC season might be defined by Red Sun and Twisted Time. Again, if they're still eligible for it, their goal should be to be too good for the next SAC. But their story is not done. Anytime these two teams meet up in the future, all eyes are going to be on it, and rightfully so, because whatever they play again, we're going to, in our minds, see it as the true third bracket reset to determine once and for all who truly won this tournament. Because again, everybody lost twice. It was a double elimination tournament, and technically everybody lost twice. Red Sun was given an opportunity to lose a third time, and Twisted Time was not. So, with that being said, who won this tournament? Officially on the books, it's a tie, and it's up to you to decide who truly won this tournament. So, I'm putting up a prediction for leave your channel points here. Did you think Twisted Time won or Red Sun? No, I'm not actually doing that. I don't know how to do it, and you can't predict something like that. But whatever. Whoever you think won, good for you. It doesn't matter. The one thing I do want to point out is that Red Sun did give their prize to Twisted Time, which I thought was a great gesture on their part, considering that Twisted Time was the team that basically allowed them to play in Grand Finals to begin with. But with that being said, that's all I have to talk about. And what a fantastic low ink. I hope the next one is more normal. When I said in my preview that I thought this was going to be the most competitive low ink we've had since September of last year, I didn't imagine this coming. I didn't imagine this one coming. And, a lot of other people put out top 10s that they had for this upcoming low ink who they thought was going to win it. Did anybody really get that right? Like, if you said Red Sun was going to win, which a lot of people did, they were the favorite, I guess. Are you right? Like really? Like, how does any of this work? I have no idea. But to answer the question that Surskit is dying to know, yes, the Dynasty Dragon Wave team did get second place. Don't worry. With that, let's go raid somebody. let's try to we're trying to raid people we don't know yet. Well, thank you for watching, Starbit. Oh, let's go to Watson. I don't think I've ever raided. Let's go to that. Raid. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, like to be interviewed by your team, maybe you're a TO and you got some hot takes you want to say, or whatever. Maybe you want to share some information with me, like some people did last night, which was really helpful into writing this episode of the podcast. Feel free to reach out to me. Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25. All the VODs are up on YouTube. This one will be up in about an hour and a half or so. Make sure you keep wearing your mask. Make sure you, I don't know, try not to die, I guess. Let's try that. Try surviving for another week. And if that works out, I'll see you again on next Monday.